together and share, several hundred people just getting a chance to share together in the morning about what some of the big picture things are. And today, the big picture thing we're looking at is the idea of the sense of things. Now, it's interesting when you delve into kind of a Christian or a Christian New Church perspective specifically, there's this idea of conscience and this idea of the perception that comes along with conscience. In other words, that we can get a sense of right and wrong, and if something doesn't quite pass the smell test, we just kind of know it, even though we may not have a lot of articulated reasons for it. We just kind of know. I think there's a lot of wisdom in that, and that's what we're talking about today. Like how there are some things that are so much more important than just the facts and the figures of a case. I'm just going to read you a little piece here out of Christian New Church Theology, and this is from the book Secrets of Heaven, 2145, and we're going into a story here of Abraham and God's kind of presence in that form of perception. And this is a really interesting comment here, very interesting comment. The more focused we are on secular facts derived from what we have heard and seen, the less exalted our perceptions are. So, in other words, we can get so into the facts of things that we miss the big picture. Now, first off, as with all things spiritual, there's a paradox here, right? There's a caveat, an important one. It's not saying facts and figures aren't important. Like, they are critically important much of the time. Like, if I'm having heart surgery, I want somebody who's not winging it. I want somebody who has all the facts and the figures down. But if we just totally myopically focus on that, we'll end up with all kinds of weird, bizarre decisions that are rational on a certain level, but just are crazy on another level. I know as a history teacher, the German T4 program where they decided, look, these people were handicapped. We got to get rid of them because they're taking resources. And again, I could go into a whole thing on that. It's a very sad thing. You could Google it. But it was very rational. I mean, totally rational. Like, why should we pay money? Why should we feed? Why should we clothe? Why should we house people who are handicapped? That's crazy and totally, completely rational. You look at groups like the Nazis of World War II, sort of hyper rational. Everything was measurable. Everything, and if anything didn't fall within those measurements, you did away with it, with very tragic consequences. Now, obviously, in our life, we're I don't think any of us are in danger of that. But there are times where the facts and figures can kind of get us. And I think with relationships in particular, it's interesting with relationships. Sometimes, not all the time, but some of the time, the facts are the booby prize. So you can work with a couple, and each one has their set of facts. And they come into a marriage counseling session, and what they're looking for a Judge Judy who's going to say, well, we got two different competing set of facts, which one's right, which one's wrong, and then they're going to render judgment on that. And all right, so maybe some of the time that's necessary, but a lot of the time it isn't. A lot of the time, the truths that are most important relationally are actually above that. Like, can we value the relationship more than just being right? And sometimes the facts and the figures of things totally miss what somebody's motivation may well have been. Something may have happened, or there may be particular facts, but their motivation may have been very good, very positive. And that's where we really need to focus. So it's really, friends, again, it comes down to at a very personal level. Yeah, do you want to be right, or do you want to be in relationship? Because being right, quote unquote, will always pull us into facts and figures and making our case and wanting to have our day in court, literally or figuratively. And yet God's call is consistently towards this relational thing, consistently towards how do we build the relationship. It's interesting when you look at the New Testament, Jesus almost spends no time with particular arguments around a factual, I'm right, you're wrong kind of basis. He clearly is continually focused on how do we build relationships. And the things that he goes after, that the Lord goes after, very clearly goes after, are those things that get in the way of relationship. If it gets in the way of relationship, that's the kind of stuff he said really has to go. That's where sin lies at the door. That's where, anger, jealousy, vengefulness, like the whole list of things that we need to move away from in order to have a better sense. And then what happens when we can do that, folks, when we can really focus on the relational aspect of things. Again, not saying facts and figures are not important, but they're not the most important. Really focus on that. What happens is that our perception gets more and more developed, and we're just able to sense more and more what is the right thing to do here in this particular situation. How can I really help this person? What does it look like? And it'll weirdly, and this is for the parents out there, and you might want to show this little clip to your kids just so they know you're not the only ones who are saying it. Sometimes what it will mean is that we will treat, example for raising kids, we may treat two kids very differently just because the perception is Johnny needs this, Janie needs that. And it's not based on a bunch of facts and figures. It's just based on what we as parents know of them and know of their heart and know of what we know that they need. And we want to give that to them. And again, may well be beyond facts and figures. So friends, the takeaway is this: be in relationship. Don't worry about being right, and really focus on those first things first. Remembering, that oftentimes the facts and the information, oftentimes it's just a booby prize. Like we can have an argument over that, and it doesn't really work that well. I mean, I've seen it over and over again where in my own life and in the life of people I've been honored to work with, that, when we try to debate the facts, like even if one set of facts wins over the other, so you have one person now in the relationship who's a winner and one person in the relationship who's now a loser, doesn't tend to build very strong marriages or connections. And so let's just think about a different way of doing it and a different way of being in relationship, holding first things, as always, as we say a lot, holding first things is recognizably first. So may you have a weekend where you understand the bigger sense of things and live into it. And again, remember, with all this stuff, it's progress, not perfection. So, dear friends, let's get into our weekend here. And our weekend meditative space is this. I'm going to ring a prayer bell. Then we'll do a little meditation. Then we'll do a little prayer. Then we'll do a little blessing. And then we will say hello to folks on Facebook. So with that, dear friends, let's get a little breath. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, dear friends, let's give a little cheery hello to folks. And as Facebook loads up here, and again, as always, more than welcome to leave comments later on in the week, and also warmly invite you to to join our service this Sunday as we're talking about overcoming grudges. Not that any of us wrestle with grudges, right? But if you do, this is the service for you. All right, here we go. Let's take a look at some comments here. Gabriella, good morning, and good morning to you, my friend. Sherry, have a super weekend. Same to you. It's going to be beautiful fall weather out, and I'm just about to play racquetball with that wonderful son of yours. Sherry writes, enjoy your weekend, and same to you. And Linda, same thing. Have a great weekend, and we certainly do have a wonderful weekend ahead in our household, and I certainly hope you do in yours as well. All right, now flipping on over onto this. Marcus writes, good morning, and good morning to you, Marcus. Thank you again for all you do, my dear friend. All right, friends, God bless. Have a wonderful, amazing weekend, and